Did you know the people closest to you have already noticed and said nothing? Do you know why the most visible sin in pastors is the least discussed? Is there a gap between what you preach and your body confirms? Every other sin gets a sermon. This gets silence. The silence isn't kindness. They are lies wearing different clothing. Your circle has calculated the cost of honesty and chosen comfort instead. Something needs to change. In this video, learn why nobody around you will name this, what's actually accumulating in the silence, and what changes when you have the conversation yourself. Number one, comfort conceals the cost. The people closest to you chose silence over honesty. Proverbs 27:6 reads, "Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful." A faithful wound was always going to cost the friendship something. Your circle chose to give you kiss after kiss, year after year. That's what it cost to stay silent about your expanding waistline. It was really avoidance of a serious topic, although at the time it would have felt like love. These kisses never feel deceitful at the time. They feel like kindness. They're just lies dressed up in fancy clothing. What's absorbed in that silence is cortisol. Your body deposits more of it with every unspoken conversation, with every avoidance of the subject, with every "you look fine the way you are," even though that's not true. The body will keep tabs on this, the same way it always do. Nobody needs to name it. The friendship stays intact. The cost just moved somewhere nobody could see it. Out of sight, out of mind. You now need to ask yourself the hard question. Who in your circle has noticed and said nothing? You need to sit with this and think about who has been enabling you either with words or with silence. Picture the conversation they've been avoiding having with you, but also be aware of the conversations that you've not had with yourself. Your circle may enable you, but it always comes back to personal responsibility. Number two, silence isn't sacred. The silence from the people closest to you isn't kindness. Ephesians 4:15 reads, "But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things." Truth and love were never positioned as opposites in that verse. Silence isn't love's safer cousin. It's love withholding its harder self. You don't want to speak truth alone, and you don't want to speak love alone. Both are required together, two halves of the same whole. All things in this verse includes the things that nobody wants to bring up, the silence that hangs in the air like an unwelcome guest that you don't want to tell to leave. The most avoided truth here is the most actionable one. Lucky for you, nobody else has to say it first for it to be true. You all already know the text. You've just never applied it to this. Most pastors, including yourself, can preach this verse all day long, but don't physically live it. Use this verse to open up a wider dialogue amongst your friends. Be the first to break that silence. To do this, though, you need to first understand, what has the silence around you been protecting? You need to see it on paper, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel. What changes once that conversation is actually had? What gets to no longer be protected, but gets to flourish instead? Sharpen each other like iron to iron. Number three, self-control starts with self. Self-control is listed. It was always for you first. Galatians 5:22-23 reads, "The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance." Temperance sits beside love and faith, not beneath them. Temperance is self-control. Even if preached, most pastors don't apply it to themselves. Lack of self-control can affect many areas of life. In this context, we're talking mainly about food and gluttony, but you also see this rampant lack of self-control when it comes to pastors engaging in sexual relations with members of their congregation. It just so happens that gluttony, being a lack of self-control, can clearly be seen on the body. Not on every single body, but it's one of the more obvious ones to see. Listing it alongside the likes of love and faith was deliberate, just like every other word in the Bible. Avoidance of it is conscious and deliberate, which is why so many pastors are in the shape that they are in. Learning to set limits gave him control over his choices. Putting boundaries in place will always be an effective plan. The only negative side effects are getting rid of what you don't want or who you don't want. Spiritual self-control is its own thing. Self-control practiced on the body is still self-control. Just because it's the fruit of the Spirit doesn't mean that it occurs or applies only spiritually. The fruit that is born of the Spirit is action. If self-control is not seen, which is the fruit on the body, then you can't be said to believe what you are preaching. You are not living the word. This verse describes the character of Jesus Christ, the embodiment of freedom and truth. This has never been about restriction. It's about bringing you up higher in your understanding. To gain the experience that comes from the book knowledge and that understanding, you have to start doing the work. The work must begin in the area that you have avoided for the longest. For many pastors watching this, you already know where that is. You will feel discomfort. You will feel out of your depth. That's not a reason to stop. It's a reason to keep going. 90 days is all it takes to change your future, beginning today. Self-control has always been available to you. You just need to start applying it now. Leaders of integrity take the first step when they make mistakes. It's time to step up. Number 4, doing defeats distance. The gap between knowing the verse and you applying it to yourself has been slowly widening over the years. James 1:22 reads, "But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." You've heard this word for years. Constantly hearing it over and over isn't going to do anything. If it mattered to you, you would have done something already. Preaching about it but not putting it into practice means that you are a hypocritical leader. You're not a leader of integrity. Self-deception is very subtle in this verse. Reading it over and over can feel like agreement while producing no change. 90 days closes this gap without that conversation. By sitting through the truth said in love in this video, you can start being honest with yourself. It's being said for you. You don't have to find the words yourself. The gap gets closed the same way it began opening, quietly and over a long period of time. There's no other way this changes apart from putting in the effort. Make this conscious decision today and decide to do the word instead of just preaching it. Don't start because it's New Year's. Don't begin because it's a Monday or it's the beginning of the next month. Begin because God's word already told you to. Be obedient to God's word and sacrifice the God that is your belly. The best time to do this is now while nobody is watching. That way it sticks. That way it's not a trend. It's not something you do just because everybody else is doing it. You do it because God already told you to. The doing was always the missing half. Marry that with hearing the verse and you will be successful. To recap, number 1, comfort conceals the cost. Who has noticed and said nothing? Ask them. Ask yourself. Speak to your friendship group as a whole and find out what people are thinking. It's going to be a tough conversation to have, but it's one that needs to be had. Number 2, silence isn't sacred. What has the silence been protecting? That's self-explanatory. Number 3, self-control starts with self. Start the work. And number 4, doing defeats distance. Decide to do the word, not just preach it. Similar to point number 3, you need to begin being a doer of the word and not just a hearer. Start with small steps and you will be successful. I hope this video has blessed you. Remember, sin can't win. Embody the son who won. See you soon. Lose 20 to 30 pounds in 90 days. Spirit, stress, sleep, serving, strength. Done with you in 90 days with the Sovereign Strategy. If you are ready to work, book your Sovereign session. Link in the description.